Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today we have a video that was sent to me back on my birthday, but I was busy doing other things, and then I wound up moving, so it's been a while. So, digging back, 0.6.3, and Scotty00 sent in this game of the Tier 5 premium Russian destroyer, the Gremyashchy. And this is one of those destroyers that a lot of people, I think, really wish they could get their hands on, but unless you bought the pre-release package featuring it, to my knowledge, there hasn't been a way to get it. I'm fortunate that I was one of those people, so I have her in my harbor, and I've loved sailing this ship because in the right hands it is insanely powerful. But in the wrong hands, it's just another weak destroyer. And I think that goes for a lot of ships. If the right person sailing a ship knows how to make it dance, can do a lot of damage. Also, I would like to apologize if the audio is still a little off. As I've said, I've moved. I'm in a new house, new bedroom. The sound is different here, so I'm trying to figure out what I need to do in this space to dampen it and really make everything sound clean and clear. In this game, you can see that Scotty00 is alongside a couple other destroyers. And depending how you coordinate, a division of destroyers can be insanely powerful or pretty much the worst idea ever. And it also depends what you get for matchmaking. And one of the issues is, all your eggs are in one basket, you're all the same type of ship, you don't have that flexibility to really respond. You kind of boil down to almost a one-trick pony in that you've got a lot of torpedoes. Now, if you do play right and you rotate who's in the smoke, someone else off flanking, spotting, you can really work a team over. But the other thing that I'd say is really necessary is you do want to wind up in a game that has more destroyers than normal. If you're your team's entire destroyer count, it can be a little rough if you all go to the same place. But fortunately, in this match, there's two other destroyers. They've gone to the other side of the map, so it splits them up, and it winds up working out. And you can see Scotty has focused in on the enemy Gremy, eager to eliminate his doppelganger, get rid of the ship nice and early. And I have yet to see that enemy Gremy shoot a single shell, which probably means they're trying to focus on torpedoes, but it also means they're sailing the ship wrong. One of the big strengths of this ship is its guns. Now the turret traverse is bad, but as long as you keep yourself out at range, it doesn't really affect you because your turrets don't need to move as quickly or as much. And that really does start to kind of mark off the first thing this ship is good at, and that is kind of flanking, kiting, just getting damage in. He lights a second fire there right as the enemy Gremy disappears, which means that's going to burn. So I would actually already be focusing on the Clemson. You can see the damage counter still going up. You know it's coming. And that Clemson is a sitting duck. But you can see Scotty probably doing the smart thing here. Alters his course. He's been sailing straight for a while and was spotted. People knew where he was, and there are the torpedoes. So just because you're not a battleship doesn't mean you have the right to sail in a straight line. You've got to keep yourself maneuvering and always winding up in a different spot. Something that enemy Gremy just learned. Sailing straight into one of those torpedoes, ending his game, and that's Scotty's first kill. That's his second, as he connects with the Clemson, and things are pretty even so far. They managed to capture A here. Both teams have lost 3 destroyers. The enemy team's going to get B shortly, and I would say Charlie is contested. You also probably hear a bit of my guinea pigs in the background because they're now in the same room as my computer, as previously they were a couple rooms away. So if you hear guinea pigs squealing and begging for food, that's just because they eat about anything and they think everything is food. Kind of like, so far everything has just been at the mercy of Scotty's guns. Picking up his 3rd kill, 22,000 damage in, but that's actually pretty respectable considering all 3 targets have been destroyers, which, if you look at his own health, 13,000, he's getting probably 2/3 of each of those destroyers himself. And in the meantime, things have kind of just kept proceeding. The enemy team hasn't managed to capture Bravo because that enemy Wyoming is sitting still and just getting pegged every so often, so he never manages to really amass any points, and, well, Charlie is still contesting. And the game is still pretty even. You know, the enemy team just picked up an extra kill, but destroyers are down to one aside. Scotty's division mates got taken out, unfortunately, so now he's all alone, but I think he's going to do his division proud in this game because he already has 3 kills this quickly and is definitely an amazing start to a game. But moving into Bravo, he's going to have a different type of target to contend with. Now, I suspect this Wyoming may not be alive by the time he gets there, considering those torpedo planes are going in for the drop, but this Koenig definitely is going to be. And a big thing here is really going to be putting himself in a position where, if needed, he can smoke up, use his guns, but not conceal his friendlies. And there is the smoke. So the reason Scotty turned south there, and I'm surprised that Wyoming dodged all those airdrop torpedoes, is if he had sat straight in the channel and popped the smoke, he wouldn't have any spotting from that Kuma. And right now, he's relying on friendlies for that spotting. You can see he lit a fire on the Koenig, so he switches over to the Wyoming. Really good tactic. I was asked the other day, yesterday when I posted that Qckslvrslash game, I was asked how I get arsonists, and really it comes down to, once you light your first fire on a target, switch targets. Let them either burn or put it out. Only after they put it out do you go back to the first target. Because fires are really useful, or more useful, if the guy's got no damage control, because then you light 2 or 3 and they're just losing massive chunks of their health. Now, unfortunately, the Kuma does get finished off. He turned a broadside on to a battleship to launch torpedoes, and that's a pattern. You just can't do that. Well, I don't know when cruisers are going to learn that you turn side on, you're dead. But maybe he thought he was dead, so going to launch some torpedoes and get the kill, and he is going to get a lot of damage here. Got 2 torpedoes into the Koenig. Watching that health disappear, that Koenig is definitely flooding, and there's no damage control because he used it on those earlier fires. Which means this guy is going to evaporate between a flood and a fire, and the gunfire coming from Scotty. He's a goner. So Scotty switches over right as his fire picks up the kill on that Koenig to this Wyoming. Focus on the things that you need to do damage to. That Koenig was dead, so get the Wyoming. And if he does manage to kill the Wyoming here, he's got himself a Kraken, which definitely something to be proud of. The other thing you will rapidly notice is his team has slowly been evaporating over on the other flank, which, doesn't spell good things for his chances in this game. The carrier puts another set of torps into the water, Scotty turns hard over to drop the set he had ready, and there goes the Wyoming. Which is a bit of a shame, because that would have been the Kraken, and the way the rest of this game goes, it would have made a big difference to the final result, or at least the final result for Scotty. So far, he's got 4 kills. There are 5 enemy ships left. He's got 4 friendlies, including himself, a pair of battleships, that Kaiser is dead, a carrier, and a Myogi. Now, having a carrier left on your team is a huge advantage for a destroyer, because you can pop your smoke, and the carrier can do the spotting for you. And a bit of communication goes a long way there, because, the carrier wants to win. He's going to be putting his planes in positions to help you if you ask for it. And if they say no, well, who knows? I really do feel a big part of a carrier's role is to spot, and there's definitely ones out there that, you know, their whole, no, I just do damage. I'm not useful at spotting it at all. But if you think about it, what sank the Yamato? Realistically, it was some planes spotting her and figuring out where she was in the first place. So Scotty's definitely got his work cut out for him here. But on a map like this, with a lot of islands, I'd say he has a really good chance at making it out of this. Unfortunately, a kamikaze does appear, spotting him, so his stealth run on that Wyoming with torpedoes isn't going to work out. But with guns like the Gremy, this kamikaze is dead. You can hear the torpedoes in the water. Scotty was quick to turn and swap up his course. He doesn't even need to look. He had the rudder over. He knew he was dodging those. And he gets his smoke up because there is a lot of pressure all closing in on him. Now obviously the really important thing here is that if any of those ships get to 2 kilometers, they're going to hard spot them 100% of the time. And that Wyoming is just outside of that. But that Wyoming also doesn't appear to be behaving too intelligently. He hasn't altered his course. He's not even paying attention to where Scotty was. He's got his eyes over at the Miyogi, who is still spotted. Scotty launched his torps and is once again paying attention to the kamikaze as his torps absolutely wreck that Wyoming. He picks up the Kraken, and now it's decision time. Do you go for the Kuma? Oh, he's got his rudder over. Get that back. And he does decide he's going for the Kuma. And I kind of like this because the Kuma is just a big destroyer. And when you look at it, it doesn't even really outgun the Gremy. You can see he does swap over to AP there. He's got a side-on Japanese cruiser with no armor, popping the citadels in one after the other. And look at the health evaporate off that Tier 4 cruiser. One more hit, he is a goner. And there he goes. Side-on cruiser, easy target, he's dead. Bringing Scotty up to a kill total of 6. And now things are even. Carrier, battleship, destroyer on each side. And they've got the caps. They've got the points. The enemy team has to be aggressive here. And for a destroyer, late game, that puts you in the captain's chair. You decide how the game goes. Because they're going to have to make a move, and when they do, you ambush them with torpedoes, or in this kamikaze's case, work them over with your guns, and you're going to pick up the kills. Gets another kill, and this Wyoming is just asking to be sunk. You can see he's coming around the corner. He's not really adjusting his speed at all. And once again, it just boggles my mind, because Scotty was spotted here. That Wyoming had to know there was a destroyer around the corner. And yet, the Wyoming is sailing in a straight line the last we see him, and those torpedoes are looking great. He gets the rudder over, but it's going to be a little late. Scotty picks up his high caliber, 3 torpedoes, 2 floods. The damage counter isn't rising though, which means that Wyoming had his damage control, managed to stop those floods, but he's only on 3,000 health. He is recovering though. So it's time to put the guns to use. You've got a smoke, you've got airplanes overhead. I would personally be stopping and just starting to work them over with the guns, but it appears he's got other plans. His speed boost is still active. It's only 10 seconds until his next set of torpedoes, and he is diving in. He's got the rudder hard over, weaving back and forth, dodging those shells, and there's the torpedoes. They are reloaded. It is kill time. And clearly, the guinea pigs want to see this kill too. There's nothing that Wyoming can do. He is dead as a doorknob. And there's the 8th kill. So it's just the enemy CV left, and Scotty's got some time. 4.5 minutes, 140 points left. You can see the friendly carrier is sending his bombers. Can he pick up the 9th kill? And this is where I was saying earlier, if only he'd gotten those torpedoes into the water earlier on that enemy Wyoming at the Bravo cap, he could have had himself a double Kraken. Because I think it's safe to guess the enemy carrier is probably a goner here. He hasn't been doing anything too special as far as his planes. If you've been watching the enemy carrier planes, they've just been in and out on a straight line, which makes it really easy to guess where the carrier is at the end of the game. One of the tactics I've actually seen done and completely threw a team off and got the enemy carrier a win when he was the only guy left is he would send his planes almost all the way around the map to come from the opposite side he was on, and basically everyone, including myself, bit the bait and started sailing to where the planes were coming from, and he was nowhere to be found. This Wyoming, however, this Langley, not so smart. He was sitting still, so these torps are gonna be good. And you can see Scotty there waiting a bit before firing. And a big reason for that is the Langley was heading out, so you need a little extra range beyond just, the kind of edge. And with the drop complete, the Miyogi really not in shooting range, you can see the shells coming but not really connecting. It's gonna be Scotty who gets this kill, and his HE drops a Citadel into that Langley, knocking a huge chunk of health off. Any connection here, looks like he's flooding, shell connects, and he gets the kill.
And it's a little hard to believe that with 5 enemies left, Scotty would be the one to finish each and every one of them off, coming just shy of 10 kills. But that doesn't take away from any of how astounding this game was. 537,000 credits, 8,900 experience, Confederate, Kraken, 2 devastating strikes, high caliber, just shy of 140,000 damage at tier 5, and 9 kills. What do you even say to that? Sure, the enemy team made some misplays. Some of their battleships sailed straight into torpedoes they should have known were coming. But Scotty put himself in the right position time and time again to take advantage of those enemy ships. And he never got himself in a spot where he was overexposed. And that's really a big key to destroyer play. It's a key to all play in this game. But I find destroyers in particular, you always need that out. You need to know, what am I going to do if I get spotted right now? In his case, a couple times, it was pop smoke. And at tier 5, there's no radar, so you know you're safe. But that's something that should always run through your head, and I suspect it was going through his, and I can't imagine what was going through it as he was working his way up to those 9 kills. Just shy of 3,000 experience, 2,973, and he killed as many ships as the entirety of the enemy team. That really puts the game into perspective. There's 12 aside, and he got 9. That's crazy. He has as much experience as the next 3 players on his own team combined. And I can just imagine if he was on comms with those 2 division mates, how crazy they were going as they were watching that game unfold, because it was a little unreal to watch. You just expect at some point, okay, here it comes. He's going to get slapped. It's going to hurt. And he's not going to do it. But he just kept working through them. Even that Kuma didn't stand a chance against him as he pumped AP right into the Citadel, just erasing him from the game. And that made this a really fun game to watch. And thank you very much, Scotty. When you look at the damage as well, 43,000, 29, 14. He worked over so many different ships, and I wish I could keep scrolling down the list to come to that total. And the damage is pretty even between guns and torpedoes. When you add the fire damage and flooding damage onto each, it's pretty much a 50-50 split, or at least close to it. And that's what makes the Gremmy such a good ship. You've got those longer range torpedoes that a lot of Russian destroyers, they just don't have at that tier. So you're able to surprise people in a sense in that manner. You've got good punchy guns that, granted, the turret traverse isn't great, but the ship is fast, it's maneuverable. You put yourself in the position so that the turrets are facing exactly where you want them to be. Anyways, thank you very much for sending this in, Scotty. I loved watching it. I hope you guys did as well. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing. I'm also going to give a shout out to RJC and Andy, who both actually donated on coffee. Thank you very much, guys. Support my caffeine addiction. Anyways, until later, I'm Qckslvrslash.